Munchkins, I hope you are doing great. In today's video, we are gonna work with the reflexive pronouns, okay? I'm gonna teach you how to conjugate them, where to situate the reflexive pronoun, and what else I'm gonna teach you? I think that's all. But it's really important, and it's gonna be a long class, okay? So prepare your coffee, tea, whatever you want, or popcorn, and watch this video, and also a notebook, okay? It will be super helpful that you watch the other video I made about how to create a present in Spanish, because we're gonna use that in today's video, okay? Before starting with the explanation, I want to invite you to click in the link that I'm gonna leave in the description so you can book your lesson in there. I also invite you to click the other link, and with that link, you can donate to my channel, okay? You can donate so I can keep creating more free videos for you. So that's all, and let's start. Reflexive pronoun. Me, that is for yo. Te, that is for you. Se, it's gonna work for ella, él, or for usted. We have nos, it's gonna work for nosotros. And then we're gonna have se again. That is gonna be for ustedes, ellos, and ellas. Okay? That's the reflexive pronouns. Perfect. Now, we are gonna remember the endings we checked in the other video to create a person. So we have the endings for the verbs that ends with AR. A-R. A-R. The endings for the verbs with ER. E-R. E-R. And the last one, IR. E-R. Okay, those are the endings. We're gonna use that. So if you can, please take a screenshot of the reflexive pronouns and also the endings. Okay, so you have them, print them or write them in your notebook and have them in a place where you can see them, because we're gonna be working with them a lot. When are we gonna use this reflexive verb? To describe actions that are related to personal care and habitual routines, okay? Normally, those are the verbs that are gonna be reflexive, yeah? So every time when I want to say, I wake up, I go to sleep, I take a shower, I clean my face, all that, I wash my hands, all of those tend to be reflexive pronouns, yes? And something that is really important, and it's key, it's a tip, when you think, like, if you're not super sure if you're reflexive or not, and you can think, well, I'm not entirely sure, maybe for you it's not a personal care. For example, if you're a guy and you don't use makeup, like, for sure you're gonna say, like, well, I don't do that, so it's not my routine. Okay, well, then the tip will be, okay, if you are doing the action and you are receiving the action, that can be a reflexive pronoun. And there is like a super high visibility, okay? That will be one tip. And that's what we're gonna check today. I'm gonna explain all what I say. And yeah, that's it. We're gonna start with personal care. In here we have 4 verbs. Lavarse, to wash. Bañarse, to shower. Dormirse, to sleep. And levantarse, to wake up. And if you want to know how to recognize a reflexive verbs in the infinitive form, it's actually really easy. The only thing you have to verify is this: the S-E at the end. Okay? Why? Because lavar, it's a verb. But lavarse, it's the reflexive verb, okay? After explaining this, I'm gonna explain you if a reflexive verb, when it's not reflexive, change the meaning or not, okay? So, if they're infinitive, they always have to look like this, okay? Lavarse, bañarse, dormirse, levantarse. In this side, we have the reflexive pronouns, yeah? And remember to have your chart close to you when you want to start doing this, okay? So let's see. We're gonna work with this one first. Lavarse. So, I'm gonna do it with yo. So I have to choose one of this. And we know that for yo, it's me. Yo me lavo las manos, ¿ok? This is my example. Yo me lavo las manos. And this means I wash my hands, okay? So, if you are not still sure and you want to say, oh, I want to say I wash my hands, you can think, okay, well, I'm doing the action and I'm also receiving the action, okay? Or like a part of my body is receiving the action. So that sounds like it can be reflexive. Yeah, it can be reflexive, okay? So, I'm going to explain you this. First, always have to be the pronoun. After the pronoun has to be the reflexive verb, like we can see in here, me. And then it's going to be the conjugation, okay? I already showed you the chart for the endings. And this conjugation, actually, it's going to be exactly the same in how you conjugate in present, okay? So, it's not that hard because if it's in the reflexive verb, it's always going to have the tense, the conjugation that you are talking. If it's present, it's going to be present. If it's past, past, future, future, okay? And the only thing you have to do is add this me. That's why I told you that it's a good idea to watch my other video. So go and watch it if you haven't watched it. Okay, and something else. In here, for example, in English you say, I wash my hands, okay? But in here we have las instead of my hands, okay? Since we are already having these reflexive forms, and that means that the action, I'm receiving the action, or in this case, my hands are receiving the action, I don't really have to mention my. So that's why we use las manos instead of mis manos, okay? Yo me lavo las manos. One more thing. Remember that we skip the pronoun a lot. Okay? That was to show you where it has to go. Yo me lavo las manos. But the real thing, what people is speaking is I'm not going to say, oh, yo me lavo las manos. I'm going to say, me lavo las manos. Siguiente ejemplo. Bañarse. Yo me baño todas las mañanas. Okay, I take a shower every morning. Me, it's in the right position before the conjugation and after the pronoun who is doing the action. And of course, because it's reflexive, it has to be the person that is making it, is doing it. For example, I'm using yo, so I have to be using this. If instead of using yo, I want to use another pronoun, I can use it. For example, I can use tú, but then I have to choose te instead of me because that one is the reflexive of tú. Te bañas. And then conjugation, okay? Okay, everything has to match. This conjugation for I and reflexive pronoun of I. Okay? Tú te bañas. Okay? The ending has to match for the you form. And we have two more examples. So the next one is going to be dormirse. Remember that dormirse, it's an irregular verb that if you check this one, it has the ending correctly, but the root is going to change. So for example, dormirse. If I use it as third person, I'm going to say ella se duerme. In here, you can already see how we went from dor to duer. Okay? And if it wouldn't be reflexive, we will say ella duerme, but ella se duerme. Okay? Because it's reflexive. So, and that's what makes it reflexive, the reflexive pronoun. Okay? So, it's how to form it is actually pretty easy because we just have to add a reflexive pronoun here, just in between this pronoun and the conjugation. That's all. So the hard part is not actually making the sentences. Yeah, the hard part is understanding what I mean, because in English you don't have that. You don't use the reflexives, okay? You don't really say like, I put myself to sleep. So that's why it's so weird for you, okay? So this is, and remember, if in the present the root was irregular, it's the same. And our last example is gonna be levantarse. Nosotros nos levantamos. Okay? We wake up. Remember that we normally skip this part, so you can say nos levantamos. Okay, perfect. So the next question you probably have is, so what's the difference if one is reflexive or not? Do they change the meaning? Let's see. So we're gonna keep these two pronouns, and I'm gonna show you. So, dormir and levantar, okay? In a non-reflexive form. And let's check the example. So, ella duerme, ella levanta, ella se duerme, ella se levanta. Okay, and if I use this one, ella duerme, as you can see, you don't have to say ella está durmiendo. You can just say ella duerme, yeah? And means that she's sleeping, yeah? And ella se duerme, and we normally add the time, okay? So we were talking about routine. So here's when the routine starts. So ella se duerme a las 10. I'm mentioning my routine. That's the difference between just using duerme, means that you are doing the action, and this one will be to refer more like at the time, okay? Ella se duerme a las 10. Both means dormir, okay? Both of them means like to sleep. So the question is, there are other verbs that change a lot? Yes. So levantarse means to wake up, okay? The reflexive form. So ella se levanta means she wakes up. And what's the difference with the not reflexive ways, okay? So if you are using the non-reflexive way, can mean two different things, okay? If you add a direct object and it's a person, that means to wake someone up, okay? So, ella lo levanta. She wakes him up. And in case you're not using a direct object talking about a person, means to pick something up. So if this just fall, then I can say yo lo levanto. Yo lo levanto. And I'm not referring that I'm waking my market up because he's not sleeping and he cannot even sleep, okay? So that will mean pick up, okay? Can be also means pick someone up from the floor, but you have to have the context that the person is already on the floor to be able to pick her up, to help her to stand up, and it doesn't mean to wake up, okay? So that's the difference of these just two, reflexive and non-reflexive. There are more, yes. There are, and I'm gonna explain you another one because this one is super, super helpful. So our verbs are gonna be to go, to leave. An example. Yo voy a la tienda. I go to the store. Okay, I go to the store. Yo voy a la tienda. Yo me voy. I'm sorry. De la fiesta. So I leave the party. Okay, I'm leaving from the party. Yo me voy de la fiesta. Okay, you can see how the only thing that is going to change is this reflexive pronoun we have in here. Yeah. Okay, here we are, the order. So this is perífrasis verbal, okay? And probably you're gonna ask me, what is that? Well, I'm gonna just explain in the simplest form. And that means that you are using two verbs instead of one. And we also have the infinitivo. The infinitivo, everyone knows, infinitive, okay? And if you were not super sure how to realize if a verb is infinitive, that means that has to end with AR, ER, and IR. Okay? So, perífrasis verbal means that you are using two verbs instead of one. And normally, one of the perífrasis verbales we know a lot, it's going to be the famous going to and the when we used to be. Okay, the present continuous, past continuous, all of that, and all the continuous forms, it's a perífrasis verbal, okay, because we're using two verbs. So let's check where are those two verbs in here. This is our first example. So the first two verbs are gonna be va. Va comes from the verb ir. So in here it's a perífrasis verbal with the going to, okay? And the other one is going to be dormir. Okay, the one that actually, it's the important one in this. Okay, because also perífrasis verbal, like we have two verbs, but the thing is like they together, like normally the first verb is going to help to create another tense. Okay, so for example, we have the going to refer that is like future, but we don't have to use will. We just use going to, and it's the same in Spanish. If you don't know how to make this type of future, they're going to. I'm going to explain you, so don't worry. But for now, just focus on this, okay? So you can see how I put it in here. Oh, sorry. I put it in here and in here. Okay. This is why a lot of people get confused. So a lot of people first learn the reflexive pronouns, but they do not learn this till it's too late and they don't know what's going on in their lives. Okay, that's why I'm explaining you this. So when you have two verbs, a perífrasis verbal, you have the option to use it before or after. Before or after what? Okay, before the first verb, or you can say between the person who is doing the action and the first verb, or after the infinitivo, okay? After the infinitive. Infinitivo, oh my God, dormir. That will be the infinitivo. And we just add the SE there, okay? What happens if it's another pronoun? Easy peasy. We just change. How is it going to change? Check this. Instead of ella, I'm going to use yo. Yo, of course, I have to change this one because it's not the reflexive pronoun that it will match for me. And I also have to change this one because also doesn't match with me. Yo me voy a dormir or yo voy a dormirme. Which one is better? Which one should I use if I'm talking with the first prime minister? It doesn't matter. It's exactly the same. You just have the choice to use one instead of the other, okay? And that's why people get super confused, because if you are learning this and then you realize that you can say it also like this, you are like, I don't even know how to do that. Well, easy peasy. I have in this. Again, remember that we skip this a lot. So people can say, me voy a dormir o voy a dormirme. Okay? That's one part. This is one of type of perífrasis verbal. The first one, this is with going to. And now we're gonna check the one with to be. So the one with to be is, of course, the verb to be. And remember that in this case, when we have to use ing form in Spanish, the verb we use, I'm gonna clean a little bit, wait. The verb we use is not gonna be the verb ser. Like, forget about ser if we are talking about ing, okay? Of course, we don't have the ing as an ending in Spanish. The ending, it will be ando or endo. Don't worry, I'm gonna have a video eventually about how to create present continuous. Don't worry. Remember that this video I decided to make it because first I start explaining you pronouns, and then in the pronouns we realize that we need to learn present, and then we need to learn reflexive verbs. And also the next video I'm gonna make is about direct and indirect objects. So I'm gonna take you like from 0 to a super advanced level, okay? So don't worry, take it easy. We have a phrase that we say, tú tranquilo, yo nervioso. O tranquila. Tú tranquila, yo nerviosa. Okay? And that means like, you take it easy. I'm in charge, okay? So don't worry, take it easy. And so, coming back. Perífrasis verbal. Okay, the verb to be. So, of course, we need to find the verb to be. And then the ing form, we say we have ando. That has to be the ending. So we have in here, peinando. And probably your question is, what means peinar? Peinar means to brush, okay? So it means like, she is brushing her hair, okay? So you can see that in English you have to say she's brushing her hair, okay? Well, in Spanish you can just say ella se está peinando. It means like she's brushing her hair. Easy peasy. Okay, so we have two verbs, the to be and peinar. Again, we can choose between put it before or after, okay? But it's before or after. You cannot put it between these two verbs. That will be totally wrong. Neither this one or the other one we check. No. Has to be before those two verbs or at the end of those two verbs. Yeah? What's going to happen? Well, ella se está peinando. It's actually pretty normal. But something here you have to check is when you use this one, ella está peinándose, goes at the end and goes together. You cannot just put it like as another word. Has to go together. Yeah? So in here, because we went from peinando, and the strong syllabus is this, and it doesn't have an S because it has a rule. And that's what I can explain you if you want. It doesn't have accent. But when you have this word, it's gonna be different. And now the strong syllabus is gonna be none. And if you love grammar just as much as I do, you are gonna know that this has to have an accent. Yeah? This is called una palabra esdrújula because it has the accent in here. Okay? Peinándose. It's strong in here. Yeah? So, some of the verbs that if you put it at the end, this is what is going to happen. Probably you're going to have to add the accent. Okay? In the beginning, trying to know where goes the accent or not, it's going to be hard. But I recommend you to, if you are not entirely sure about the word, look for the word. That's going to help you a lot in your writing. Okay? And this was when it was like the perífrasis verbal. When it's the normal form, it's just you're just using one verb. Me peino, me peiné, me peinaba, me peinaré. Remember, I'm skipping the pronoun here because we are already super pro, because we already probably have like 10 minutes of this video. So, me peino, present, and if you add the progressive form and you want to say me estoy peinando, it's something different, okay? That's what we checked before. So if it's just one verb, like the verb peinar, to brush, me peino, present, me peiné, simple past, me peinaba, irregular past, me peinaré, future. If you just have this form, it's super simple because you cannot say peinome. No. And here you cannot change it, okay? You have to leave it like this. And the last one, it's gonna be the commands, okay? So, let's check this. We can have affirmative commands and negative. Okay, so one is like you are telling someone to do something, and the other one is you are telling someone to not do something. Okay, and I'm gonna have another video how to create the commands, of course, but in this case, I'm just gonna explain where to put the reflexive pronoun. Okay, so for example, comerse, because it's reflexive. Okay. Afirmativo, comete eso, eat that. Negativo, no te comas eso. Okay? So, in here, it's not that you can choose, okay? The time for choosing, stop. Now you have a rule, and the rule is affirmative goes after 100% of the time. Negative goes before. First of all, you have to write no, then the pronoun, and then the verb. Cómete eso, no te comas eso. So eat that, do not eat that. Okay? As you can see, the conjugation in affirmative and negative way, it's really different. Yeah, it is. And that's why I'm gonna have a video with commands. Okay? We are super close to the end. I'm just gonna teach you one more thing, that it's gonna be something called the reciprocal actions. Okay, so give me a minute, I'm gonna write some things and we continue. Okay, and this is gonna be the last thing, okay? The last thing I'm gonna say, I promise. So, we also have the reflexive ones when we wanna express mutual actions, okay? So in English, we normally use each other, but we don't have to use that one. We just need to make it in the reflexive way. But as you can see, it's gonna be plural because two persons, two objects, two animals, two whatever are doing this action. Okay? The example is gonna be nos ayudamos. Super easy. I skip pronoun. Okay? Nosotros nos ayudamos. It will be the entire phrase. Nos ayudamos. It's enough. We help each other. Okay? So this each other, you don't have to use it because it's already saying that this action is mutual, okay? And I have another here, and I'm gonna make this one with you guys. My dogs fight with each other every day. My dogs, mis perros, because of course this thing has to be plural because it's a mutual, so it has to be two parts involved. Mis perros se pelean. Remember that if it's they, it's se pelean todos los días. Okay? It's actually really good and really easy. You don't think so? And that's why if you have a friend that is learning English, they're gonna have a hard time learning when to just say each other because we don't have that. We don't have to use another thing. Unless it's not super clear and you have to add something that is like yo mismo o él mismo o nosotros mismos, but that's going to be another class because I'm sure that this is already super long and it's a lot. So I'm just going to clean this. Okay, well, that was, I think, I have a feeling that it was a really long class, but with this you are going to know everything about reflexive verbs. How to construct the conjugation, the order, if you have a periphrasis verbal, if you're using two verbs, and also if you're doing commands or if you're like mutual action. And that's all. I hope this video was really helpful for you. I tried to make it as digestible as possible. So that's all. My tip, like always, like what I said last time in how to create the present, just start writing. That's gonna help you a lot. And print those charts, and even better than print them, make your own charts, because that's gonna help you a lot, because also your muscles, your memory muscles, are gonna remember that, and it's just not you trying to memorize. That helps a lot. I think that's everything. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm gonna make other videos, and I remind you, you can book your lesson. Probably you feel that I'm already saying a lot and you're like, well, if you're already explaining me everything for free, well, imagine if I do this for free, what can I do if you pay me? It's even better, okay? So that's the reason why you can book your class. If you like to learn by yourself, because I do that a lot, to learn other languages, because also sometimes I don't have a lot of time. So I invite you to support my channel so you can have more content, more free content. You can also like ask for a specific video if you don't understand the difference between something, or you just want to know, or whatever. Feel free to leave me a comment. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching my videos, Munchkins, and I will see you in my next video. Yeah, ciao.